Hello and welcome to another monthly reading for people born in March. My name is Dr. Karen and I do colour readings, amongst other things. Each month I attempt a general reading based on the colours that are selected for you, and hopefully they will give you some guidance as to how to manage some of the turmoil that occurs in everyday life. If you're new here, you're in for something that you've never experienced before. On the other hand, if you've been here before, welcome back. I'm very, very pleased to see you. I'd like to hear, though, from you in the comment section as to how well, or if not well, these readings are going for you. This month, I'm going to try something a little different, because colour readings are only as good as the questions that are being asked. So let's get into it for you, shall we? This month, I'll be taking a card from the Angel Therapy Oracle, which is made by Doreen Virtue, a famous name within the Oracle community. All right, so let's begin, before we look at the colours, with an Oracle card, just to give us some additional guidance from the Angel Oracle. Take that one and place it under here for the end of the reading. And now I want some colour circles, some colour combinations for people born in March, all the March babies, to see what they brought with them from 2025, what they've got left over from January of this year, and what's likely to be needed in February. And finally, what's the underlying energy that keeps them going? Well, we begin with purple on orange, and then we go to cyan on white, and then we go for purple on grey, and the underlying energy is black on orange. Right, well, what you brought with you into 2026 from last year. Purple on orange. Orange is always, when it's in the bottom of the combination, a lack of confidence, an inability to stand up and be counted, an absence of courage. But in the real world, there's been all sorts of changes, all sorts of challenges. Purple, as the top reading, is always about creation and destruction. There have been things that have been suddenly dragged out from underneath you. It's like someone's knocked you over in the street, and now you have to get up and you don't even know who knocked you over or why, or whether or not you were hit by something that was out of the blue that you need to recover from. It's a potentially quite disruptive and potentially dangerous situation that you brought with you from 2025. In January of this year, however, we have cyan on white. There's white internally is all about curiosity. It's about a splash of enlightenment. It's suddenly becoming aware of reality. And in the real world, what's happened is that you've had to stop and you've had to listen, pay attention, learn, just basically allow the world to move around you without necessarily interfering with it in any specific way. Cyan on white is really quite a comfortable setting if you allow that cyan to feel peaceful. If, on the other hand, you make it feel as though it's stagnant, then you're going to feel as though you are frustrated by the fact that there is nothing inside you that gives you any sort of direction to take in order to create that peace and harmony that you're after. Coming into February, that purple, that disruption is happening again, only this time it comes because of your inability to make a choice. Grey internally is indecision, it's confusion, it's having to sit on the fence when in reality you would much, much rather be either walking the white path or the black path, which are the component parts of grey. So that uncertainty feeds into the clash that requires massive change, or something happens in February that is a major change to your life, which then in turn creates that confusion and uncertainty. Where are you going to go next? And underlying all of this is black on orange. Now, black and orange are nature's warning sign. It's a sign that there is potential danger here, because the orange internally is courage, confidence. It's also dealing with crisis. It's dealing with crisis at quite a major level. And in the real world, the black says, I am not going to let anyone know how I feel. It's hiding your emotions, but it's also what I'm going to do next. In other words, what am I capable of doing? Don't push me too far. It is a warning. And this permeates the entirety of the last few months, last year, January, and what is likely to happen in February. It's an interesting combination. But more important are the colours that are missing, because they give us guidance as to where to go when we are moving through life. You have black and you have white. There's no red, there's no yellow, there's no green, there's no blue, there's no brown. You do have orange, you have grey, you have purple, but there's no pink, and there is no cyan. So there is cyan, my mistake. Sometimes I have to be a little more careful. So these colours here are the ones that represent the skills that you are able to use effectively in your present day life. What you're not using are these colours here. And they hold the key to the sorts of issues that you can be faced with and need those skills to overcome. So what, in fact, does that mean for all of you March babies? Well, let's have a look at how you might respond. If the colour that you need to deal with is red, as the most liked colour, it means that you need to take charge. You need to stand up and say, this is what is going to happen, this is how it's going to happen, and you will brook no interference. You will become your own boss, or the boss of whatever it is that you're working with. On the other hand, is the most disliked colour. This has to do with dealing with frustration, with rage, with anger, all of which have been suppressed in your life and need to be dealt with in a way that does not actually create harm. Because ultimately, red is all about stop. Don't spill blood. But the potential for doing exactly that as an impulsive activity is there. If yellow is the colour that you're dealing with, then as the most liked colour, it's all about putting on a happy face. If everything here fails to do what you want it to, then your default action would be, oh, everything's wonderful. Look, I can make a joke out of any calamity that might occur. As the most disliked colour, on the other hand, this is all about fear. It's about not being able to face some of the dreadful things that you have learnt about in the past. So it's an anxiety. And that anxiety needs to be dealt with, because if you don't deal with it and you leave it as a disliked colour, then it will continue to permeate your life. If the colour you are dealing with is green, then what we have here as the most liked colour, it means that you need to change direction. I've been dealing with green myself in the last month. That was one of my January colours. And as a light color, it has forced me to re-evaluate, to re-examine those things that I had been doing and to attempt something new. Hence, I'm now doing a slightly different type of color reading. For you too, as a most light color, green is asking you to take opportunities, to look for opportunities, and to make the most of a change in heart. As a disliked color, on the other hand, green is all about restriction and wanting to get away, trying desperately to find an alternative path, being imprisoned in some way. Green as a negative color is always associated with the opposite of red, whereas red is all frustration. Green is frustration that can go nowhere. You are stuck. If the color that you're dealing with is blue, then what we have here is a color associated with organization, stability, and also nurture. As the most liked color, if these fail, then you're likely to simply present yourself as the person who fixes things up. Yes, you can work hard. Yes, you can organize things. Yes, you can be in control of quite a number of different types of activities. And all the while you're taking care of others. As the most disliked color, blue internally has to do with restrictions once again. Only this time the restrictions are all about those things that have either been foisted upon you or that you've taken on for yourself. Blue as a negative is all about shut up, do as you're told, get on with the job, don't complain. And it comes from a background in which you are overwhelmed with too much responsibility. If the color you're dealing with is brown, brown has to do with ambitions, goals, practical skills, wishes, and hopes. As the most light color, it actually allows you to choose from amongst a whole range of potentials those particular skills that you want to carry out for yourself. As the most disliked color, this is all about wishing and hoping and not actually ever doing anything about your objectives. So if you have, as a result of what's happened here, decide as your default color that you're going to use brown, then hopefully you will have established some sort of goal list for yourself, because that's the thing that helps you focus on where you want to go. On the other hand, if it's the most disliked color, then that goal list is probably the very thing that you need to establish in order to get out of the doldrums that arise from when you are simply wishing your life away. And then we have pink. If this is the color you're dealing with, then pink is all about vulnerability. It's about being lovable, as are all small baby type creatures, but it's also a reduction in energy. As a most light color, it means that you recognize that you cannot accomplish a particular task or activity on your own, and you will not only ask for assistance, but you'll receive it in abundance, and people will be attracted to you for that purpose. On the other hand, if pink is the color that you most dislike, then there is a likelihood that you will have developed some sort of chronic, long-term, or fairly serious disease within your life. Red is the color of vitality. Pink is reduced vitality. And as a disliked color, it means take care of your health, because you will need to have assistance, whether you like it or not. It will be foisted upon you. So the question is, which of these will you choose as the color that you most like, and will you take up the challenges of the color that you most dislike? Let's have a look at what the oracle has to say. And here I need my glasses, otherwise I can't see it. It says, you are a powerful light worker. It is safe for you to be powerful. Your spiritual power brings great blessings in loving service to the divine. Loving service to the divine is pink and green, which are fairly close as opposites on the color wheel. They're asking you to have your heart in the right place and to do what is necessary through vulnerability, but also compassion for others. Interesting choices. All right then. It's been a slightly different way of dealing with the color reading. But as I said, it's all about the questions that are asked, which brings me to an offer that I made some time ago, and no one's taken me up on it, which is, if you would like a personal color reading with me, be prepared for some surprises, then please contact me through my email address that I'll leave in the description below this video. I'm not charging for it, and I will take the first 10 people that bother to apply, and they will get a free color reading. It's up to you to decide whether or not you want to comment on it. It'll certainly be private. I will record them, and I will allow you, as the only person to see them, to let me know what you think. Until we meet again next month for another set of color readings, and I might change the system again, depending on the questions I want to ask. May the colors that you choose help guide you to where you need to be, as well as where you'd like to be. Until then, bye.